Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. Before we proceed into the tutorial, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. So for this tutorial, we are needing the main fabric, the pocket flap and the pocketing. So I'll be using these few pieces of fabric. This doll face is going to be serving as our main fabric. It's a tutorial and it is just for tutorial sake. So I would like you to consider this as your main fabric. So starting with this on the right side, we want to get the point where we want to use for our pocket. So let's say we want to have our pocket somewhere on the center of this fabric. So I create a center point then I'm going to mark my pockets with how wide I want the Welt Pocket to be. So I'm just going to take half of each of the measurement to the sides. So let's say I want to use 4.5. Initially I'm marking at 5, but when I check the pocketing I cut, that's from my pocket deep, I see that it is not wide enough. So I'll just reduce this to 4.5 now, meaning I'm having 2.25 to this side and then the same thing to the other side, 2.25. So I want to make a straight line across those points. Having made this straight line, then I want to make another straight line above it and below that straight line. So I'll be using 0.25 for the distance from the center line, the initial straight line, to form my two line, and that will give me half inch. So meaning my pocket wide is going to be half inch. My pocket opening has the space between the upper part and the lower part of the part where I will be dipping my hand is going to be half inch. So I'm just connecting these lines. I'm connecting this point to make a straight line. So now I'm having 3 straight lines on it. You can see that it's not so clear, but don't worry, you're going to see it clearly on the pocket flap. You're going to see it clearly. So for my pocket flap, I want to cut the size I need to cover up for the pocket. Remember we use 4.5, so here I'm using less than 6 inches, around 5.75, and I'm just going to gum a paper stay. You can use an air stay if you like, but for this tutorial I'm using a paper stay. And then on the center where the pocket is, you can see it, so I'm going to gum a paper stay at that point too. So just go ahead and gum this in place and come back to show us. Now this is it after gumming it in place. So now the same thing we did on the main fabric will be done on the wrong side of this pocket flap where I have my paper stay. I created a straight line at the middle, and then I'm going to create the opening of 0.25, just the way I have it in the main fabric. Now I'm using a pen for clearer view of it. So I just mark this point all through down to the end and connect it. So just the way I was having 3 lines, 3 horizontal lines, then I'll be having the same thing here. So having done this, I want to get the distance. Remember, the distance of my pocket wide is 4.5. So I just mark this 4.5 as well. Then I create a center point for it. The center point is not so necessary here, but I just mark it in place. So I connect this. So in a way, I have a rectangular shape in this. Now I want to create a tongue in it, snake tongue as they usually call it. I'm creating this with half inch. That's half inch from the center from each edge to anywhere it stops there. Then I'll mark a triangular shape, which I'm going to show you now. The same thing on the other side with half inch. As you are seeing it, you can see that triangular shape in it. So that is what we have done. And now we are going to be sewing our pocket after drafting it. So I want to get this point, the center line. I want to match it up with the center line of the one that I drew on the main fabric initially. So I'm just trying to locate the point, making sure that it tallies with each other. I insert my pin in it to make it stay in place. Then I pin it. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, pinning it from that triangular middle point. Okay, so I just pin it all around. Then I will go ahead and sew. I'll be sewing following the rectangular shape. Now this is the outcome after sewing it. You can see, looking at it, you can see it from the back side as well. So it has been properly sewn to it. Then I want to open it up to create an opening for my pocket. So I'll just cut through. When I get to that my tongue area, I'm going to slash like I'm notching the pocket, but make sure you are not cutting through your fabric. So the same thing to the other side as well, and as well here and there. So this will make my pocket to relax properly when I flip it inside out now. So I'll just go ahead and give this a good press with my iron. So this is the wideness, and I give it a good press. You can see how beautiful the opening is. Now I want to determine how I want my pocket to look like. You can decide that you want to make it halfway, like the flap to be halfway up and halfway down. You can decide to make it full. So let me just create the halfway. For this tutorial, we are going to make it full, but let me just make the halfway. You can see that opening is reduced. Then the other half, then the opening is fully covered. You can see. Let me just pin it in place for you to see clearly. So you can decide how you want it to be. But for this tutorial, I want to use a full fold, making the full fold come from the lower part to the upper part. You are going to see what I'm saying, but first let's see this. Do you see the opening is no longer there? Rather, I'm having my Ankara, so it comes from down and then the upper part. So but now this is what I want to do. Considering that part that is facing me now as the lower part of my fabric, maybe trouser or jacket or anything. So let's say that's the lower part of the fabric now. Then I flip it up and fold. You can see that I didn't fold the upper part at all, and then my pocket is fully covered. So from this I can go ahead and iron. So next I want to hold this in place. You can see, can dip my hand through it. I want to hold this in place following the previous line. And while doing this, I'll be avoiding sewing on the main fabric. So I just want to sew all around, from the side to the turn and to the other side. So having done this, I give it another good press, and then looking at it, you see that I am not forming two lines, because I have just sewn right on top of the previous one. And make sure you don't sew on your main fabric. Then another thing I did, I make sure that it is holding the flap in place, the part I push up, but still holding it to the previous stitches. So our pocket is almost ready. The next thing we want to do is to put our pocketing in it. So I just flip the upper part down and shape it to be equal length with the other one. We folded it more inside, so it has reduced the length, and I want the length to just be equal. So I'm going to locate the midpoint of my pocketing, the two pocketing, and then the midpoint of my pocket flap, or let me say my pocket opening area. But now on the Ankara, so I'm just going to face it right side, facing right side. Pin it in place. Do the same thing to the other side. Then I'll go ahead and sew it in place. So having sewn it in place now, you can see I just make my pockets to face the direction I want it to face. And I'm going to flip off the main fabric and sew all around. You can decide to weave this, sew it around and weave. You can decide on what you want to do based on the dress. You can decide to just leave it. It doesn't matter if it's a dress with lining. So now my pocket is fully ready. If I push it out, you see. So this is just how to go about your Welt pocket. I'll just trim the excess there. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I hope to see you all in my next tutorial. Thank you so much for staying with us. Really appreciate. Please don't forget to hit the notification bell. Alright, bye.